The slave markets of Corvax's station reeked of desperation and cruelty. Darren Holt had no business being there, but his cargo hauler needed parts that only the black market could provide. He kept his head down, navigating through cages of various species, some pleading with their eyes, others long past hope. Then he saw her. The feline predator was massive, easily 7 feet tall even in her crouched position. Her fur, matted with dried blood and filth, might have once been silver white. Scars crisscrossed her muscular frame, and a crude neural collar sparked against her neck every few seconds, making her body convulse. Her species, the Valkreth, were legendary across 3 sectors as apex predators, beings of such ferocity that entire colonies evacuated at rumors of their approach. But this one's amber eyes held no rage, only exhaustion. 2,000 credits, the Grolvian slaver grunted, noticing Darren's stare. Prime specimen. Break her properly, she'll fight in the pits for years. Darren's jaw tightened. He'd come here for engine parts, not to get involved. Getting involved meant trouble. Getting involved meant risking everything he'd worked for. His ship, his freedom, his life. The collar sparked again. The Valkreth female didn't even flinch anymore. I'll give you 3,000, Darren heard himself say. But only if you remove the collar first. I want to see she's not brain damaged. The slaver's eyes gleamed with greed. Deal, human. But if she tears you apart, that's your problem. The collar came off with a hiss of depressurizing clamps. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Valkreth slowly raised her head, those amber eyes focusing on Darren with an intensity that made his breath catch. She could kill him in seconds. Every instinct screamed at him to run. Instead, Darren extended his hand, palm up, empty, non-threatening. My name's Darren Holt, he said quietly. I just bought your contract. But I'm not keeping you. Soon as we're off this station, you're free to go wherever you want. The Valkreth stared at his hand for a long moment. Then, with movements that spoke of barely contained power, she reached out and placed one clawed finger against his palm. The touch was gentle, almost reverent. Rakara, she rumbled, her voice like distant thunder. My name is Rakara. They made it off Corvax's station without incident, though Darren's credit balance was now dangerously low. His cargo hauler, the Mercy's Run, wasn't built for passengers, but he'd cleared out a storage bay and given Rakara space. He'd expected her to leave at the first port, to disappear into whatever remained of her life. She didn't. Instead, she watched him work. Darren was a mechanic by trade, one of the best, and his ship reflected that dedication. Every system hummed with precision, every repair done with care rather than shortcuts. He talked while he worked, explaining what he was doing, never expecting responses. Rakara listened to everything. Why? She asked one day 3 weeks into their journey. They were in the engine room, Darren half buried in a power coupling. Why what? He called back, his voice muffled. Why free me? Humans are not known for mercy. Your species conquered half the outer rim through calculated violence. Darren emerged from the coupling, wiping grease from his hands. Maybe that's exactly why I had to. Someone's got to prove we're more than our worst impulses. He shrugged. Besides, enslaving sentient beings is wrong. Doesn't matter what species. Rakara's eyes gleamed with something Darren couldn't quite identify. You believe in mercy over fear. I try to, even when fear would be wiser. Darren thought about that. Especially then. The attack came without warning. Pirate raiders attracted by the Mercy's Run's isolated trajectory. 3 ships against Darren's single hauler. His weapons were minimal. Cargo haulers weren't built for combat. He'd be boarded within minutes, killed or sold back into the very markets he'd freed Rakara from. Get to the escape pod, Darren ordered, already plotting futile evasion maneuvers. I programmed the coordinates to a safe colony. You'll make it, Rakara didn't move. Instead, she closed her eyes and something changed in the air. The temperature dropped. Energy crackled across her fur, arcing between her claws like lightning. What are you? Darren began. Rakara's eyes snapped open, and they blazed with golden fire. I am the War Guardian, she said, and her voice resonated with power that made the ship's hull vibrate. Reborn across millennia, waiting for the one who would choose mercy when violence was easier, waiting for the one worthy of my bond. Before Darren could process her words, Rakara moved. She didn't head for the airlock or any logical exit. Instead, she placed both hands against the ship's wall and power erupted from her in waves. The Mercy's Run transformed. Armor plating materialized from nothing. Weapon systems that had never existed suddenly came online. The ship itself seemed to come alive, responding to Rakara's will as if she'd merged with its every circuit. The first pirate ship disintegrated under a barrage it never saw coming. The second tried to flee, didn't make it. The third sent a distress signal that cut off mid-transmission. Then it was over. The energy faded. Rakara collapsed, and Darren barely caught her before she hit the deck. She woke in the medical bay, weak but alive. Darren sat beside her, having not moved in 8 hours. "The War Guardian," he said softly. That's a legend. A myth about a cosmic protector who chooses champions across the ages." "Not a myth," Rakara whispered. "A truth. Every 1,000 cycles I am reborn. I search for one who embodies what the galaxy needs most. Usually I find warriors, heroes of battle, leaders of armies." Her amber eyes found his. "I have never chosen a mechanic before. Why me?" "Because you showed mercy when cruelty was easier. Because you value freedom over profit. Because you believe in fixing what is broken rather than discarding it." She reached out, taking his hand. "Because the galaxy doesn't need another warrior, Darren Holt. It needs someone who builds instead of destroys. Someone who sees value in the broken and enslaved." Darren felt the weight of her words, the impossible responsibility. "I'm just a mechanic." "You are my chosen," Rakara said, and in her voice was absolute certainty. "And together, we will teach this galaxy what humanity at its best can be." Outside the viewport, stars beckoned with infinite possibility. Darren Holt, humble mechanic, looked at the War Guardian who had chosen him and slowly nodded. "All right then," he said. "Let's get to work."